We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships, number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should.
My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit mrsdanielledevita.com, or you can go to YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today. This is Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the value. When to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive, thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, he's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter if you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making. Now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't. Hello, welcome to another live with Mrs. Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach, and my goal is to help both men and women get in a relationship that's best for them. All right, so we are going to have a little talk today about giving your partner unearned credit or brownie points. So a lot of people, you may be like, what does that mean? So we're going to go over that. But before we do that, I want to let you know a little bit housekeeping rules. If you are interested in buying my book, you can on the upper, it may be the upper left-hand portion of the screen. There's a QR code for you to buy the book. The book is Command Respect from the Woman You Want. So that's the book that I have out now. You are able to go to mrsdanielledevita.com and then go to my book section. You'll be able to see that book. Now, I do have some more books that will be coming out in the spring. So this is a quick guide for men, the one that's out right now. The book that I have coming out in the spring is for both a book for women, Girl, Go Get Your Husband, and then later a book for teenage girls called Boy, Bye. So that book will be out very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That's still going through processing. But the book you can get now is Command Respect from the Woman You Want, right? And we like to help men keep their masculinity intact. So this isn't to, make you soft or anything like that. Now let's talk about what we're going to do today. Also, if you want to join the conversation, you can do that. There's a number on the bottom of your screen. If you don't see it, let me get it up here. Number. Hold on. My screen is backing up. But there's a number at the bottom of your screen, and it's 813-816-1813. You can call that number, or you can get on camera. There's a link in the description, and it has an area if you want to get on camera. Just make sure your camera ready, because this is recorded. Everyone will be able to see it. It's live stream, and it goes to also the Facebook platform, so people from different streams can be able to see it. Sometimes I also take some of these clips and I have it on my TikTok and my Instagram and things like that. Let's see. All right, so let's get started. A lot of times we are giving people credit where it's not due. And a good example is, let's say someone was great in the very beginning of the relationship. And this could be for both men and women. You were with someone and the relationship seemed great. They did what they say they were going to do. They were either feminine, if it's a woman, they were masculine, they were hardworking, they were loyal, they were whatever it is. And we take these beautiful moments, and when these bad moments come about, we kind of brush it off, or we forget about these bad times because we're still trying to reminisce about the good times, and we want to give them these brownie points. We want to give them their cool points where it's not warranted now, but we're still thinking about these times. So we're giving credit where credit is not due. A lot of times from my coaching, what I see it is for relationship that's long distance. And what I mean by that is you could be with someone and they're great when you see them, but then they're gone. They like disappeared. You don't see them anymore. Maybe they ghost you. Maybe they or you just, wherever they are, they've ghosted you. You're not seeing them as often. Maybe you're not going on as much dates. Maybe they call you, every day for the 2 weeks, and then you don't hear from them. And you're like, oh, but every time I do see them, they're great. But out of the 1 year relationship, you see them every 2 weeks, every so month. So you see them for 2 weeks straight, 2, 3 months go by. You see them another 2 weeks, time goes by. I don't know. Maybe they live long distance. Maybe you guys are only just frequently seeing each other every so often, and then there's times when you're apart. Maybe this person travels. So when you're apart, they're not still calling you. You guys aren't still having conversation. When they're apart, it's like they've ghosted you. You don't hear from them. They're not the loyal person. They're not the person that you're always communicating with. You don't really know them because you're not having that quality time with them. It's only when they're in your presence you have this beautiful quality time. So all the times that they're gone, they're away from you, you are holding on to the times that they were great. So when they come back, you still giving them this same credit, these same brownie points where they haven't earned it throughout all this time. Your relationship was long distance. This person maybe they even live in your city, but you just only you talk every once in a while. You go on dates every once in a while. I've heard people say, well, we've been off and on. And that could be one of those instances. When you're on is on and popping, right? The party is jumping. But when you off. Like you ain't hearing from this person, and the relationship is still not somehow connected. So a lot of times we are giving credit where credit isn't due. We're holding on to something that isn't there anymore. This relationship is not popping like it used to be, and this person is not earning these brownie points, earning these credits. You're just giving them credit from the last time you remember when the relationship was great. And a lot of times this is actually something that happens with women often, right? Especially if they're in long distance relationships or in relationships with people that it's not it's they may consider it exclusive relationship, but it's not what you would call a committed relationship. I call these situationships. You're in the relationship, everything seems great, and then that person moves on. Sometimes when that happens, usually the person, if you see them disappear every once in a while or not always consistent, they're probably taken. In many cases they're not always available to you because they need to be available to someone else, right? So I think that a lot of times women overlook this. This is what I mean by vetting, right? So I say often there's two reasons why women are in relationships that are not best for them, because they're either in a relationship longer than they should be. So they were red flags that were presented, but they ignored them, right? And they stayed in those relationships hoping they could change the person, hoping that the person would change for them, hoping that they can make it work, hoping whatever they were hoping for. They stayed in a relationship for what they envisioned it would be, not for what it currently is. And then the other half would be femininity. They're lacking femininity, right? And then a portion of that staying in a relationship longer than they should be is a portion of vetting. So it may not necessarily be they're in a relationship longer than they need to be per se, but it's just that person wasn't even they don't even know the person. They're not even really in a relationship. They're just in some type of entanglement. They are in a situationship. They're just talking with someone. I think last time we spoke to a couple and I asked them to explain what talking to, what it is to talk to someone. Of course, I don't know all the things about dating because I've been married for quite some time. And at least when I was dating, I don't think I really did talking. It's either we're together or we're not. But a lot of times people have different you know, phases where they are in a relationship. And some people want to be at the talking stage. We're just talking, nothing more. And sometimes when you're in that talking stage, you ain't really talking because you still don't know that much about a person. You're still not even taking the time to learn, um, some red flags. Even in the talking phase, you may not be exclusive. You may not be committed, but there's some things that should not even have you entertain that person, entertain the conversation, whether it is just talking. whether it is just flirting. You don't even need to entertain that person, because if you really were listening to the quality of what this person was saying, they're not worth your time. They're not interested in you. Or they do, or if you're in that phase, you can see what people we do, what we like to call love bomb in the relationship world, where a person is showing you so much love because they're trying to show you how great they are all at once, and then because the real them is going to at some point come out, so they need to love on you, and you're taking in all that love and you're like, oh, this is great, this is great, and then you act like you're blindsided, when really in between the love bombing they were doing some other things, but you were just having so much thrown at you. The smoke was hiding some of these flaws that they were showing, because most of the time people can't hold on to their representative, this fake version of themselves, for a long period of time. So love bombing is something people would do in the first 2 weeks, in the first 3 weeks, maybe in the first month. If it's really something they're trying to do, it would be in the first 2 months, right? They want to 2-3 months. They're showing you how great they are, and then you're wondering, like, man, we've been talking for 3 months, and then everything took a turn. Yes, because 3 months is not enough to fully know a person. There is a possibility, but you'd have to spend every day talking, like not just shallow talking, but deep conversations. And it's not you doing the talking, it's you're giving them an opportunity to speak as well, so you can get an idea of their perception of the world, their perception of themselves, their perception of relationships in general, their perception of the opposite gender, their perception of the same gender, their perception of things outside of relationship, business, politics, faith, belief, religions, children, marriage, families. You want to understand how they think, right? And I'm not telling you to be psychologists here, but I'm saying you want to get a full understanding of how they think, because this gives you a gauge of the kind of person they are and the kind of person that you're likely going to marry. Now, you're all people grow and they evolve. So even with knowing my husband for 16 years, I'm amazed at the things I learn each and every day, right? Because we change, right? Meeting him in my 20s, he's going to change and evolve into his 30s. How he thinks may change, because life experiences may have him think things differently. Overall, he has the same mindset, but he does see things a little bit differently, because, of course, we grow, we mature, we change, and things like that. So there is a possibility that people's mindset and views change. Maybe they become more enlightened, right? When they listen to other people and say, wow, I never thought about it that way. Their perspective do change, but you won't learn these things until you have continual conversation about fundamental issues, not surface level stuff. Not to say that you can never have surface level things, but you do need to incorporate important things. And part of that is vetting. Part of that is having these conversations early on, and who to entertain, because you don't want to waste your time with people that the first thing that come out their mouth is completely shallow and materialistic, and you want something more, right? So a lot of times people are seeing all this fun times, this great date they have with this person, this energetic and interactive moment and interactive date, and then the next time when they don't hear from the person, or the next time it's a bad interaction, they think, oh, well, it's just a one-time situation, and they pull from that time that they had great times. I did an interview a while back with this. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but she was Granny Too Thick. And she was saying she was in a relationship with this guy, and he was great. Everything was great with them. And they were just talking. They were friends, but a little talking more on the romantic side. And then eventually they started dating. And then, he had little attitudes here and there. He was just verbally at the time, abusive, right? And then it pushed over to something more physical. So she was saying when it was verbal, she thought, oh, he just had a bad day, because she's reminiscing about all these beautiful, great times that they've had with each other. So that's going to offset this one time, right? And sometimes we overlook that, and we get to the point where we're like, well, and maybe it's a one-off situation, maybe it's 2 or 3 times, but so what? it's 4 or 5 times they've acted up, and then all these other times were great. I'm not gonna let that, you gotta weigh the good and the bad, right? But you got to realize what issues are. I think I talked about in another video, crossroads. Some are in crossroads are like deal breakers. Some deal breakers, you get no warning. The relationship comes to an end because of how toxic this particular issue is. And like I said, it's putting hands on someone, right? That could be one of those. We don't need to have a conversation. You and I both know that's toxic and we don't need to be with each other, right? Another one could be how you speak to someone. Someone could provide one warning with that. Hey, don't talk to me like that. This is not how we handle situations. Some things could be two warnings. Hey, I don't like when someone disrespects, or I don't like when someone speaks over me. I don't like when someone, holds their hand up, wave their finger. Something is can have, two warnings before we say, you know what, this relationship needs to come to an end. Of course, when you're married, how you resolve things may take more than two warnings. It depends on your relationship and how toxic that particular or unhealthy this particular thing is. So you have to understand that you can't borrow credit. People need to earn that. Just like people in society say, oh, we earn respect and we got to earn trust and we earn this. Just like we have to earn things throughout relationships, people have to earn credit. So if this time this person was loyal, they were trusting, they were great on the date, they were funny, and they said all the right things, and this time they're not saying and doing what they say they're going to do, we don't give unearned credit. Now, we do give patience. So guys, please, ladies and gentlemen, please do not get me wrong when I say this. Patience is giving people grace and opportunity to grow and change. Tolerance is when you pass that grace period, right? So you give that person opportunity and time to grow, which means in order to give that person opportunity to grow, you have to address the issue. And then if they decide, well, I know you've given me time, I know you said X, Y, and Z, but I'm not making any changes. Either they're saying it through their words, like I just expressly said it, or they're saying those very things with their action because they heard what you said. They were able to hear, understand, comprehend, okay, you don't like this, I won't do this, but then they still do it, right? And then you say, okay, well, patience has run out now. Now I would just be tolerating it. So after you've gone through this point, then we say, well, then since we're at the tolerance part, you're not getting credit just because yesterday, before that, or the week before that, or the 2 weeks before that, you did great. No, we're not going to do that. There's a TV show called Kings of Queens, and I like it. It's a pretty funny show. It's with Kevin James. It's a very old show back in the early 2000s. And there was one episode where he was trying to get brownie points. He was trying to do something in 1 week, take her somewhere very fancy and nice so he can get brownie points, cool points for being this great husband. So the following week, he could linger on throughout the week. He could ask to go out of town with his buddies. And that following week, he wasn't doing those things he did before, but he was hoping he could borrow the credit from what he did last week to get to go on this trip this week. And she's like, oh, that happened a while ago. He was like, what? And so he was thinking, well, I guess I got to strike while the iron is hot. I should have took my credit and did what I wanted to do right then. And I think she was trying to give him credit at that time, but it wasn't the credit he wanted. The credit he wanted was to go with his friend somewhere, and she was trying to give him credit for something else. So a lot of times people want that credit that they didn't get. They can say, oh, borrow from the time we were great, everything was great. Oh, don't worry about today, don't worry about right now. You know how I always am, you know how I always do, I always come through for you, I always do this. And a lot of times, especially as women, we borrow this credit from the past that they earned then, and they could have been falsified credit. They were just doing it for under false pretense, right? And then now they're trying to get credit for it. And they're not even doing what they said they were going to do. They're not even staying committed. So I implore you, both men and women, if you're in a relationship with someone who is not following through with what they say they're going to do, don't give them that unearned credit. You want people every day to try to commit to do these things. We see a lot of times where people used to do stuff early in the relationship, write letters, write poems, do this, do that, and then they feel like they don't have to do it anymore. But they want that credit from then. Well, you have to keep doing things to get credit, right? When you think about people who in professional degrees, in order to keep getting some type of credit, they have to keep up with their CLEs, right? Or CUs, depending on what you guys call it, depending on what professional field you are in. Keep up with training. You have to keep doing that to get the credit, right? To keep your license up to date. And this is the same in relationship. To keep that trust up to date, to keep that fire popping, right? Get the party jumping, to keep all of that going, you have to keep putting in the work to get that credit. We're not borrowing credit. We are creating new credit, new commitment, new everything. Every year, every month, every day, we're going to try our best. We're not just going to do it one time and stop, because if we just do it a few times and stop, it's called love bombing. And I definitely don't want you to do that. Not if you're trying to be in a committed relationship. We don't want to do love bombing. Right? So if you do have any questions, definitely go ahead and put some things in the chat now. Like I said, if you want to get on camera, you can use the link. I have a link here for you to get on camera. Just make sure your camera ready. If you want to call, there's a number on the screen. Let me try to fix my screen too to figure out what's going on here. Sure why it's not loading here. Okay, so if you have any questions, definitely put it in the chat. If not, I would definitely come to an end. I would like for you guys to be a little bit more interactive. Sometimes I know people are just listening, but surely you guys have some thoughts and opinions about relationships. Maybe you're married and you're watching this. Maybe you're not married. Maybe you are in a relationship. Maybe you are in a situationship. Maybe you are in an entanglement, right? Yeah. So and maybe you're just interested in dating people and you have some thoughts about it. Let me see. There is, just in case if you guys forgot, at the top there's a QR code for you to buy the current book. You can just look at it. Hey, it's $7.50, they have an e-version, a Kindle version for $5.99. But there's an option for you to look at some of the, on my website, mrsdanielledevita.com. There's an option for you to look at different podcasts, things that I spoke about, different blogs that I've written, so you can see my thoughts and where I'm going as far as relationships. A lot of things on my website. You can learn about me personally. You can learn about my thoughts about different things, from dating to marriage to vetting to femininity. I have all of these things on the website, and I definitely want you guys to get engaged with that if you don't know about my content. But in the meantime, I'll leave you with that. You're also welcome to go back, watch on the playback, and add your comments there. I also am on the Philip Scott Show as a contributor there. So he has a fantastic show. He's also has African Diaspora News. So if you like those types of stories and you are part of the African diaspora, you would love that. Even if you're not part of the African diaspora, you would love African Diaspora News and the Philip Scott Show, which is Black media entertainment things going on within our community. And I'll talk about relationship there as well. So thank you so much for tuning in to Mrs. Danielle DeVita. You guys have a fantastic night. All right. You all take care. Bye.
Perk 101. So a lot of times women say that you can't afford me. And if you want to be a feminine woman, realize that you are not an escort. And committed relationships ought not to be transactional. As you rest in your femininity and learn your worth, you will realize that the men you are with should see you as invaluable and priceless like no other. And yes, you can have shopping sprees, 5-star dinners, and trips, but those things won't make you different and won't set you apart. Things that are priceless and invaluable, money can't buy. Money can't buy peace in a relationship. Money can't buy your love. Money can't buy your joy, your joyful spirit. It cannot buy your gentleness, kindness, your self-control is in controlling your emotions and how your responses to things, your personality, your attitude or mindset as a whole. If you notice, these are also fruit of the Spirit from the Bible, right? If you're looking to be a Proverbs 31 woman, you definitely want to make sure you have these. So if you're having talking points of you can't afford me, realize that these are talking points of a basic chick or a modern woman. You want to be different. So get on your feminine journey today. You can also visit mrsdanielledevita.com or visit me on other social media platforms.